Deutsche Bank's $623 million Tesla stake increase shows institutions still see value after the earnings miss. This is Tesla Shorts Time, episode 566. Deutsche Bank AG added roughly 1.48 million shares in the second quarter. That lifted its total holdings to 9,603,163 shares, now valued at $4.039 billion. The $622.946 million inflow marks the German bank's largest single quarter increase in Tesla this year. The move comes after Tesla reported an earnings miss, yet still drew fresh capital from one of Europe's largest institutions. This shows that some big players are looking past the near-term numbers and focusing on longer-term bets in autonomy and energy. Investors will watch whether other banks follow the same pattern in the third quarter filings. From institutional capital flowing in, the focus now shifts to how Tesla is locking in the physical supply needed to deliver on those bets. LG Energy Solution will deliver battery cells worth $4.3 billion under a new multi-year agreement. The contract covers cells for Tesla's vehicle and energy storage lines without naming specific factories or timelines. This supply deal adds to Tesla's existing relationships with Panasonic and CATL. The agreement shows how Tesla continues to diversify cell sourcing even as its own 4,680 production scales at Giga Texas. Supply security remains a key focus as production targets rise across multiple product lines. Supply security leads naturally into how Tesla is already deploying those batteries at grid scale. The state of California now has more than 21 gigawatts of battery storage online, largely from utility-scale projects. Tesla Megapacks form a visible share of those deployments, though exact capacity figures are not broken out. The milestone reflects how storage is keeping pace with renewable generation growth. Grid operators will track whether this capacity reduces curtailment during peak solar hours. Continued additions will test how well the system handles evening demand peaks. Large-scale deployments raise the question of what happens to those batteries at end of life. Tesla is expanding closed-loop recycling across the United States to recover lithium, nickel, and cobalt from end-of-life packs. The program aims to reclaim materials before they reach landfills and to reduce reliance on new mining. Early volumes already match a meaningful fraction of annual North American mine output for certain metals. Future scaling depends on collection rates from vehicle and megapack fleets. This approach could gradually lower input costs for new battery production. Vertical integration in materials connects to how the same hardware is being repurposed in other Tesla-adjacent projects. EVgo will install Tesla V4 dispensers at existing and new sites nationwide. The hardware supports higher power levels and the NACS connector now standard on most new EVs. The rollout gives EVgo access to Tesla's latest charging technology without building its own. Drivers will see whether the V4 units improve reliability on the combined network. The partnership extends the reach of Tesla's charging standards beyond company-owned locations. Hardware standards spreading leads into how the software running on the cars themselves is being tested in real-world conditions. A Colorado driver told police the car was in full self-driving mode when clocked at 64 miles per hour in a 45 miles per hour zone. Officers released dashcam video as a warning to motorists about responsibility during supervised operation. The incident follows similar reports of drivers claiming the system was in control. Regulators continue to examine how liability is assigned when supervised autonomy is active. Clearer guidelines on driver attention requirements may emerge from these cases. Driver behavior with current supervised systems contrasts with longer-term hardware experiments happening elsewhere. The Liner Truck 3 uses Tesla Model 3 batteries and drive units to move autonomously inside tunnels. The vehicle carries no driver and relies on Tesla hardware for propulsion and power. This marks the third iteration of Boring Company equipment built around Tesla components. The design reduces the need for custom powertrains in underground transport projects. It also demonstrates how Tesla hardware is finding uses beyond passenger vehicles and energy storage. Tesla hardware finding new uses points to continued expansion at Giga Texas itself. A new Texas factory section dedicated to the latest Megapack 3 variant has started production. The line targets 50 gigawatt hours annual capacity once fully ramped. This expansion sits alongside the ongoing chip fab groundwork at the same site. Energy storage revenue now grows faster than vehicle revenue for Tesla. On Reddit, owners discovered that reinstalling an older software branch, then subscribing to FSD triggers the lighter supervised version to download. One 2018 Model 3 owner documented the exact sequence that bypassed the newer branch. The method works only after the car has already received the summer update. It shows how some drivers are actively managing which FSD variant runs on their hardware. A back-to-back test measured how quickly 3 Teslas with different computers responded to sudden obstacles. Newer hardware and software combinations cut reaction time noticeably compared with earlier versions. The results give owners a concrete sense of incremental gains in the supervised stack. The video has sparked discussion about whether the measured differences justify waiting for HW5. Early reviews of the 2027 Model YL note added rear legroom and a longer wheelbase aimed at larger families. The vehicle keeps the same powertrain options as the current Model Y but alters interior packaging. Reviewers say the changes address one of the most common complaints about the standard Model Y. Production timing and pricing remain the next data points to watch. There is a challenge worth discussing with the supervised system. A Colorado driver received a citation after a Tesla in supervised full self-driving mode was recorded traveling 19 miles per hour over the limit. The driver told officers the car was handling speed selection. Police released video to remind users they remain legally responsible. The case adds to a growing list of incidents where drivers attempt to shift blame to the supervised system. Battery recycling at scale changes the cost structure of raw materials more than most forecasts assume. Tesla's closed-loop program recovers lithium, nickel, and cobalt directly from packs that have already served in vehicles or megapacks. When those recovered materials re-enter new cell production, the marginal cost per kilowatt hour drops without requiring additional mining or long-distance shipping. The effect compounds as fleet size grows, because each retired pack supplies feedstock for the next generation rather than adding to landfill or export streams. Over multiple cycles, the savings become structural rather than one-time. The same logic applies to energy storage economics. Megapack deployments now exceed 21 gigawatts in California alone, and a rising share of those installations will eventually feed the recycling stream. This creates a domestic supply loop that is less exposed to commodity price spikes or export restrictions. Manufacturers that control both the forward production and the reverse recovery path gain a structural margin advantage that pure cell buyers cannot match. The advantage appears first in the energy business, but eventually feeds back into vehicle margins as cell costs fall. Over time, the advantage shows up in gross margin rather than headline range or acceleration numbers. Every percentage point of material recovered internally reduces the bill of materials for the next battery and improves the return profile of the energy storage business. That is the quieter but more durable competitive edge emerging from Tesla's vertical integration in cells and recycling. The loop also lowers exposure to geopolitical supply risks that affect mined materials from concentrated regions. Before we go, watch for the next update on how the new Megapack line at Giga Texas affects overall energy revenue growth. That's your Tesla news for today. TSLA closed at $328.58, up $9.05, 2.8%. If you found this useful, a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify really helps new listeners find the show. You can also find us on X at Tesla Shorts Time. I'm Patrick in Vancouver. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow. And before you go, this show is part of the NARA Network, a family of daily podcasts on tech, science, and markets, each one a short, sharp briefing you can finish on the commute. If today earned its place in your feed, here's your next listen. OmniView, a balanced daily world news briefing that takes every side seriously. Find every show free at naranetwork.com. And on the website, every episode's visuals live in our free image gallery at naranetwork.com gallery. Royalty-free under Creative Commons, download with attribution. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.